Great. Thank you very, very much. A pleasure to be with you all this morning. It's nice to see so many smiling faces on camera. As I said before, most of these Zoom calls that I do, I'm usually the only face I see, and I don't see anybody else out there. So it's really great. I'll be able to get some feedback. I'll know when I tell a joke if somebody laughs, if it was worthwhile or not. You never ever know that for sure. So thank you very much for being with us today. All right. Well, a quick little summary again. I'll go really quickly just because you've already heard this. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading a weekly meeting in North Dallas, Plano area, a career focus group since 2007. In 2008, I started careerdfw.org. And the reason being is that in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we had like 60 or 70 different networking groups. And there was not a sign by the church, hey, come here this morning at 9 o'clock, come here tonight at 6 o'clock. So there was really nothing pulling everybody together. So I came up with a website just sort of with the calendars and events on it so that people could find where to go if you were trying to network with somebody. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search. You may not know, it is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, which I guess nobody here will see me in person unless you fly to Dallas, but I also always have copies with me. In 2012, I was invited to go to the White House Forum on Job Clubs and Career Ministries. I was one of 110 people who were there. It was really great to meet other people who were dedicated in doing what I do and what these other career groups around the country do. It was really, really informative. And we were only limited by the size of the room. I think there would have been a bigger crowd if they had a bigger space at the White House. In 2012, I also launched careerusa.org because one of the things I found when I was at the White House is that there was no other group in the country that I could find doing anything like Career DFW. Nobody else was, little churches had their website, little organizations would have their own website, but nobody's thinking about, here's what I can do for the whole community. So because of that, I launched careerusa.org. I'd owned the name for a couple of years. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. And I just sort of split up Career DFW, took all the generic stuff, put it on careerusa.org, kept everything specific to the DFW area on Career DFW. Since 2012, when COVID hit, everything changed. I mean, nobody was using Zoom. Everybody was meeting in person. But since we went online, because all the local networking groups stopped meeting, and I went, well, I've got a Zoom account. We can keep things going here. So since March of 2020, we've done over 600 free career workshops on LinkedIn, interviewing, effective resumes, and networking. Those are the 4 subjects that we talk about, in addition to the Friday North Dallas Plano focus group that has different speakers talking about other topics. So the first thing I want to do is I just briefly want to talk about there's 3 basic different kinds of recruiters, and I think it's really good that you understand what's out there. I mean, you may be familiar with it, but I always like to sort of cover over what it is. There's 3 basic recruiters. There's an in-house recruiter, somebody who is working at a company. There's an outside contingency recruiting firm. Those are the people who don't get paid unless they happen to plan, and they happen to land you, or they happen to place you into a job. You may get 3 or 4 phone calls for the exact same job from different firms. So just how to be able to handle that. And then there's outside retained search consultant, which I'll talk about in just a second. So an in-house recruiter could be very busy. They could be handling 30 to 50 different job descriptions at a time. If they're working for AT&T, they may be just in charge of trying to find installers. They could just be maybe trying to find customer service people. They could just be trying to find executives. So they have a large range of jobs that they're trying to fill. They're very, very busy, and they probably rely on an ATS, an applicant tracking system. So that's when you have to fill out the online application, and you're in that black hole, and you never know if you're going to be found or not. So with an in-house recruiter, it's very, very important that if it is when you get that phone call, find out what kind of recruiter they are, so you know how to handle them. The outside contingency recruiting firm, it could be 3 to 5 different firms trying to fill the same job. They may just see a job posting online, and then they just start trying to find somebody who can fill that job and trying to submit. They don't get paid until a company hires you. You've got to be very careful that your name doesn't pop in on 2 or 3 different organizations, because many times a company will just go, well, that name already popped up from a different organization. We're just going to cancel that person out. So be very, very careful about that. And then the outside retained search consultant, usually only one firm is trying to fill a role. They get paid upfront a contingency fee, and the balance is paid on placement. And they will usually have a very good relationship with the employer, where the outside contingency recruiting firm will have very little, not much of a relationship. They may not know unless they've been hired many, many times to do it. That's why a really good question to ask when you get that phone call is, if they are an outside consulting group, how many puts have you had? How many people have you placed in this organization? So you have an idea of what's going on. All right, so what I'm going to talk about LinkedIn today is just sort of the tip of the iceberg. With LinkedIn, there is lots and lots of stuff we can go on to on hours and hours. LinkedIn is always changing. One of the things I tend to mention is that LinkedIn's constantly changing. So I'm not going to show a lot of screenshots. If you want, at the end, we can go live on my LinkedIn profile, and I can point out any questions you have. If you do have any questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat window. I do have it open, but I probably will save most of those questions to the very end, unless I'm trying to clarify a point that maybe I mentioned I didn't get clarified. Wasn't specific enough about. All right, so LinkedIn growth. If you're not familiar, back in 2009, they only had 37 million people. Nowadays, according to the latest numbers I've seen, they have over 850 million people are on LinkedIn. It's just amazing, the growth. LinkedIn has become the premier website to try to find other people and to be found if you're in job search. I saw a statistic saying that only 76% of recruiters are on LinkedIn. Quite frankly, I think that's in the 90s. I think every recruiter's out there, they're using LinkedIn because it's a great, valuable tool. So you've got to make sure your profile is ready to go. Looking, over 200 countries around the world. This is a pretty recent slide. I think that there's over 191 million people in the United States. I mean, that's 1 out of 2 people are on LinkedIn here in the United States. Everybody, my kids have got LinkedIn profiles. Hopefully your kids do. I mean, your parents may. I mean, just depending how old you are. But, if you want to be found nowadays, you want to be on LinkedIn. So what's the goal on LinkedIn? The goal is to set up a welcoming profile for recruiters, so that something that's easy to read, that's got a good picture of who you are, that tells them what your background is, and possibly a little bit of personal information. If you've done something special, if you volunteered at a different, you may have something that you want to share that sort of sets you apart from everybody else. The whole key is to optimize your profile so that the LinkedIn search engine can find you. It's all about keywords. It's about making sure that you've got the words when a recruiter types in something that you get found. And so it's optimizing your profile. So LinkedIn calculates a score every day. They calculate what your LinkedIn score is, and that decides when the search happens where you're going to land up in the search. It's calculated every day. It's based on activity and your content. You don't get to see your score. They don't divulge how the point value is. There have been some studies. I know there was a study in Europe that really analyzed. They would change one thing, and then they'd see how it changed the score the next day. And they changed something the next day. And they went into some detail as far as what was more effective and what was good to do. So there are some studies out there that you can probably Google and find about how to be most effective on LinkedIn. And we're going to talk about a lot of those points today. What the LinkedIn search engine is looking for, they're looking for a mutual interest between the recruiter and the candidate. So number one is they want to know if you're likely to respond. That's one of the options a recruiter has if they're using the recruiting package of LinkedIn, spending $10,000 a year on LinkedIn for that recruiting package. One of the very top options they have on the upper left-hand side is this person more likely to respond? If you're not active on LinkedIn, if you're not liking, sharing, making comments, if you're not responding to people's messages, you're not going to be rated very high. That's why it's very important that you always respond. Even if you're not interested, just say, thanks, not interested. They want to know if you're connected to employees in the company. One of the options that they also have on that in the research program, in the program they use to find candidates, is how many people are connected to somebody already in this company. They want to know if you follow the company. When a recruiter is using the LinkedIn package and they're trying to find you, one of the options, well, when they run a category, so they may run something with some keywords, a job title, and they'll have 100, I'm just going to do 100 people pop up in their search. One of the options they have across the top is that 26 people actually follow the company. Well, they're probably going to look at those 26 people first because, oh, well, they already know about who we are. Let me see if I find somebody there. And if they don't find somebody liking that 26, then they'll broaden it out to the other 74 people that were on that list. And then you want to know if you're open to work. Once again, you want to make sure if you're looking for work, put the open to work banner on there. Tell people you're open to work, because a recruiter on the recruiting package, that's one of the options they're probably going to click first. They're trying to find people who are open to work. The other thing is they want, the search engine is looking for relevance to the job being searched on. Do you match the title? Do you have the skills that they put in? Have you passed any skills assessment test? And we'll talk all about that here in just a little bit. So on LinkedIn, you can become an all-star. Back in the day, when I got on it years and years ago, they gave you, you were 99, you were, 70%, 80%, 90%. You never made it 100% because there always was at least one more person that you could go connect with on LinkedIn. They did away with that percentage. Now they just call you an all-star if you've done stuff. And to do that, you have to have a current position. You have to have a location. You have to tell what industry you're in. You have to have a summary statement, which is the about statement. You have to have at least 5 skills. We'll talk more about skills in a little bit. You have to list an education. Even if you haven't completed the degree, just put down that you've completed 100 hours towards whatever the major is at that university, whatever it is. Put some kind of education down, and you have to have a headshot. Oh, I don't want my headshot on LinkedIn. I'll be discriminated against. Listen, everybody here has gone to a party, gone to church, gone to a bar, and gone, ooh, that person's cute, okay? So if they like you, they're gonna like you. You wanna have a good headshot. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. All right, so the first thing I think is very, very important is underneath your, you've got your name on there and you've got your picture, is you want, and we'll talk more about picture in just a second, is that you want to make sure that you have listed a couple job titles that you're interested in. If you don't do anything, it will take your last job and pull that job title up. But here you have 220 characters where you can go and put in 3 or 4 job titles of what it is you would like to do that you want to be found for. This is a major search area. This gets you the big brownie points. Make sure that those LinkedIn titles those titles you put in are the standard titles in LinkedIn. If you're the chief people person at company XYZ, there is no chief people person in LinkedIn. They're director of talent acquisition, director of HR, something like that. So be sure to always use the titles, the generic titles that LinkedIn uses. And the reason being is that when a recruiter's typing in trying to find you, they're going to start typing in sales managers, director of sales, and boom, these things start popping up and they just select those. They're not going to type in the whole field. You want to make sure you've got multiple titles in your headline and that you let people know that you're open to work. Very, very important. So that's putting on the open to work banner. If you're currently unemployed, use the open to work banner. Here's why. There are only everybody's using LinkedIn to find people. The problem is for LinkedIn, less than 50% of recruiters pay LinkedIn $10,000 a year for the full-blown recruiting package. So what they do is they go and they join a group and they're trying to find you. So if you put in there, if you have that banner on there that you're open to work, you're letting everybody know. You're letting contacts know. I know somebody, I was talking to him a couple days ago, and they're saying, yeah, I happened to pop up my banner, and somebody who I worked with 8 years ago saw it and go, oh, I didn't know you're out looking for work. We've got something here at our company who we can help you with. So if they hadn't put the banner on there, they would have never, ever known. And then you want to be sure to add additional job titles in the experience section. So if you're a program manager, that's your job title, you may want to put in parentheses a little more detail what kind of program manager you are. If you're a project manager, whatever, put a little bit more detail about what it is, because you're adding some more keywords to make it easy. So here's a little headline title generator I like. I saw somebody else have this on here, and it's really a great way to do it. Is I like to start out stuff with adjectives. I think it gives you, it energizes, it makes you a little bit more powerful. Accomplished, award-winning, certified, engaging, whatever that is. Use it, and you can just search. There's plenty of adjectives and words that you can use to make you sound exciting. And then pick a couple job titles. And then what kind of value do you bring? So the example in the last thing is that you're a dynamic program manager driving brand awareness through integrated marketing. So you're telling somebody what it is you're doing. All right. So here it happens. This is a screenshot of mine. I just wanted to sort of show you. I started out with an adjective: accomplished, manufacturing manager, operation manager, general manager. So those are 3 job titles. I could have done director of operations. It could have been a couple more, but at least I put those 3 down. Then I put a little saying that better, faster, smarter. Everything I do, my brain's wired that when I look at processes and look at things, it's like, well, if I move that person 4 feet over there, that'll be 200 less steps that person has to take throughout the day because of them walking back and forth. So how can that's better, faster, smarter in my brain. And then I'm a speaker, career workshops and seminars. So that's, I just sort of wanted to be able to point that out. All right, so let's talk about pictures. There's good pictures and there's bad pictures. So we're going to start taking a look here. Let me point out right over here, this person here. It's a good picture, except it's washed out. The background is too busy. I mean, you can see the person's face and you get an idea who he is. He's got a great smile. He's looking at the camera. That's really great. But the problem is it's a washed out picture. The second picture over, I think the guy maybe went to LSU wearing gold and, whatever, and he's nice and leisurely. He's got palm trees in the back. That's a nice picture for Facebook, but I wouldn't put it on your LinkedIn profile. The lady, the next person over, I think shots should be just shoulders and up. I don't need to see your whole body. You're not a model. It's not trying to help me here. I prefer just shoulders and up would be great. In the upper right-hand corner, that's Gail. Is it Gail him or Gail her? How would you know? You wouldn't know unless you read, you got into some details. Now, it's sort of funny. This happens to be a professional recruiter here in the DFW area. It's the her is Gail's her. When she put this photo up, I said, thank you very much. I will use this in every presentation I ever give, because this is what you shouldn't do. We just need you on there. Now, in this case, I think she had her photo. Her husband was serving in the Army and was overseas at the time, and that's why she put it up there. But the pictures from years ago, she doesn't do that now on her profile. In the black and white photo, lower right-hand photo, I think black and white is great. It's a good smile. It tells somebody who it is and what you're doing. I like the open to work if you're looking for work. The problem with the second one over on the lower right is that it's too far away. I'm not looking to see a statue. I want to use somebody's face. If you connect with me, or if you were to email me in the future asking, hey, Jeff, can you help me with so-and-so? Or would you look at my LinkedIn profile? Whatever. I use LinkedIn as my personal directory to know who you are. I'm not good with remembering names, but a face I can remember. And I'll go, oh yeah, I remember that face. That was Jim on the call, on the Beacon call we had this morning. So that's how I'll remember those things. So that's why the next person over, a great face shot. Now be careful. If you're showing your face and you put the open to work banner on there, you may want to back your photo out a little bit so that it's not, the banner's not covering over your chin. And then the picture on the lower left, I think, is by far the best photo of all, and here's why. I have a little pet peeve with photos when they're on LinkedIn. You need to be facing into your profile. Think about this. If your photo's in the upper left-hand corner, why would you want to be facing away from your profile but looking off the screen to the left? You want to make sure you're looking into your profile. So you may need to get, if you have a photo, you may need to flip it, so that you're facing into your picture. It's a small little pet peeve of mine, but it's something that when I see people on LinkedIn and they're facing away from their profile, it just sort of bugs me. I've been at a national conference twice last year and speaking on LinkedIn and other career topics. And the photographer there was taking all the photos for LinkedIn facing away from their LinkedIn profile. And it was like, wait a second. And I went and had a discussion with them and they changed it after lunch, but then within a couple hours, they flipped back to the way they were doing it before. So if you do that, ask for it both ways, just so that you know wherever your photo is going to be, you're looking into the screen. All right, let's talk about connections a little bit. On LinkedIn, you should have 500 connections. Back in the day when I got on LinkedIn 15 years ago, whatever it was a race. Who can have the most number of connections? I have 5,000 connections. I have 10,000 connections. I have 15,000 connections. It was a race to connect because they showed that number. Well, thank goodness LinkedIn changed that and just made it so if you have over 500 connections, it just says 500 plus. That's all you have to have. I don't know if you've got 20,000 connections or if you only have 501 connections, because it's all going to look the same. So your goal is you want to make sure you get to 501 connections. Hopefully, everybody here on this call, this is LinkedIn, you need to be networking with everybody here on the call. I would recommend that everybody here go in the chat window and put your email address and your LinkedIn address and your name so that people can go and connect with everybody else here. Now, maybe you've already done that. That's great, but it's something I push. Part of LinkedIn is how do you expand your connections? Here's a great opportunity to make sure you connect with all the people who are on the call today. Most the people you should be trying to connect with are people in your job function. Could be people you used to work with, people in the similar industry, so you can do information or interviews. You want to be sure to add recruiters in those targeted companies. Just look for, the head of HR or head of talent acquisition, and just try to reach out to those people and connect with them. It's not like you're not asking them to do anything. You're just trying to make that connection. Now, one of the things we'll talk about in a second is you always want to send a personal note, and we'll talk about that too. And you want to add people with job titles that could denote hiring manager status in targeted companies that you're looking for. So be sure to look into, find those right people to try to connect with. You've got to make sure you've got your contact information in here. If you're a first degree connection, if you connect with me and we're a first degree connection, this is what you're going to see in my profile. I don't need to see your address because I'm not going to send you a birthday card. If you want to put your birthday, that's an option, but you've got to have an email address and a phone number. And if you don't want to put your phone number, get a Google Voice number. I know a lot of women, they don't want to put their phone number, and I understand that, but get a Google Voice number. And with Google, it's totally free. And when they call the Google Voice number, it will then roll over to whatever phone number you want it to roll to. So I think it's really, really great. If you've got websites that talk about who it is, what you do, that's really important. Now, if you're a second or third degree connection and you click on my contact information, you're not going to see it. So how do you solve that problem? I put my phone number and my email address in my banner. Okay. Now, I know I look at a lot of profiles here, and a lot of people's profiles, you have that generic, plain LinkedIn banner. Boring. Come on, people. You're trying to sell yourself. You're trying to tell somebody who you are, what you do. I've been dealing with a lot of people in the pharmacy industry, so they put up a picture of pills, or if you're a doctor, some shots, or if you're in the telecom business, put a telephone or cell phones or electronics. Put something that represents who you are in there. I've got my book there because I'm always sort of promoting it if anybody's interested. That happens to be a word cloud. back in the day from before Flash 5, where you could actually use this program. This program doesn't exist anymore, but I love the word cloud because it tells people this is who I am: production, manufacturing, managed, employed, reported, manager, those kind of number. But, by putting my phone number and my email address right there on my banner, anybody who sees my profile, they don't have to click on contact information down here. They have to click down here. They will see it right up here at the very, very top. So there's a free program you can use to create your own banner. It's called Canva, canva.com, canva.com. You do have to create you have to log in, okay, but it's free to use unless you can. There's a paid version, and all the paid version does, it gives you more options. But to make a banner like what I did, it was totally, I could just use the plain program. You start typing in LinkedIn in the search box, what you design, and you want to look for a LinkedIn banner. And I think there's a couple different sizes. You have to figure out which one it is, but find the banner one. And once you do that, you can drop in text. You can pick a banner that's already on there. You can type in, I'm looking for something electronics, and they'll do it. If you're looking for a cityscape, you can do that. All the photos, everything on Canva, it's all license free, so you're not going to violate any copyright laws or anything like that. So if you've got a boring background, boring banner, spice it up with something. This is a great opportunity to sell yourself. Okay, your about section. This is the second most read place. Once somebody finds you, what are they going to do? They're going to read your about section. So the first 3 lines appear. You can have up to 2,600 characters. So this is a robust field for you to tell people who you are and what you do. So number 1, your banner, the about section should be written in first person. My name is, I am a, I offer experience as, I have extensive experience identifying, whatever. Write it in first person. You should make sure you keep the paragraphs to no more than 3 lines. Some people say 4. I believe in 3. People don't want to read a big body of text. Nobody's going to read that body of text at the very, very bottom, and I'll explain to you why it's like that in a second. But, keep those first paragraphs short, sweet, simple. Tell somebody what it is you can do. Then you've got to make sure you have a call to action. Let's get connected. How can I help your company? Do something. And just put your email address and your phone number. You don't need to put phone, and then a phone number, or email, and then the email address. If people can't figure out that it's a phone number and an email address, you probably don't want them contacting you, okay? Save the space for what's important. Let people know that. And then the last section is put some keywords at the very, very bottom. And this, nobody's going to read this section, but I've done this so that if somebody's typing something in and they type in, forklift training or safety or whatever, that this will be another opportunity for a keyword match. Remember, this is just like an applicant tracking system. If somebody's looking for you and they type in, if the recruiter types in a couple keywords, I want to be found. And so I want this to pop in. Look at other people's profiles. Look what pops up. Look at their about section. If you see somebody else's something good in somebody else's profile and you go, oh, I've done this. Well, that's me. Add those keywords in there. If you see a job description and you go, oh, I don't have that in my job description, but I've done that. Be sure that's added here, and you want to be sure that it's added down in your experience section, because you need keywords to be found 3 to 5 times on your LinkedIn profile. So we've talked about keywords, using keywords pertaining in your about section, and be sure in your experience section. So you're going to list your job. You're going to have, here are 3 or 4 bullet points of what I did, 3 or 4 success stories, things that I can tell you a star story about, and make sure that it's got some of those keywords in it. The other thing I just wanted to mention is top 10 skills people want to see in your resume in 2023. I just got this yesterday off of LinkedIn. Here are the 10 things that people want to see. They want to know if you've done data analytics, if you're creative, you've got good communication skills, collaboration, digital literacy, self-motivation, time management. Now that everybody's working from home, how well do you manage your time? So by adding, manage, whatever, it's putting these kinds of words in there, or these kinds of skills for people to find. You can find this article, just go type in LinkedIn, top 10 skills employers want to see, and you can call up the article. It goes into a lot of detail of things that you would put on you want to put it on your resume, but you also want to put it on your LinkedIn profile, because these are things that people are going to be looking for. All right, so let's talk about the skills and endorsement section. You can have a maximum number of skills is 50. What shows up on your profile when you look at somebody is you only see your top 3 skills. Now, if you don't pick those top 3 skills, LinkedIn is just going to pick 3 of them for you. But you want to make sure that those top 3 skills are the top 3 skills that you value the most, to tell somebody what it is you do. The reason being is nobody pops open the field to see more. They're going to look at your top 3 skills and they're going to move on. Okay. But if they're doing a recruiting search using the LinkedIn tool, they can type in that I'm looking for this skill, that skill, this skill. And if it's in your skills section, it will help pop you up. So put in 45 skills, pick them. Now, if you're a manager, you don't have to say you're a manager. If you're a accounting person, you don't have to put down that you have Microsoft Excel. Everybody has Microsoft Excel. If you're a CFO, you've got to know those things. So pick terms that describe more about who it is you do and what you do. Be sure that you've both got technical and manager soft skills. If you can, alphabetize them. I think it's always good, because it'll be easier for people to read down a list if they were to open them up, if they're alphabetized. And in LinkedIn, you can click on skills, you drag, one of the things is you drag to the top the 3 that you want, and then everything else should fall in the line, and you can alphabetize them. You can just drag them around using the little cursor on the right-hand side. LinkedIn will categorize them into certain sections, so you can't move them from section to section. Whatever they fall into. And then the last point here is you want to have 3 current recommendations. It used to be 2, but now LinkedIn shows you your 3 most current recommendations. They really need to be from 2021 to 2023. I see profiles. I saw one a couple of weeks ago, and his most recent recommendation was from 2014. In that case, you might as well just delete it or turn it off so it's not visible. Better to have none than if you don't have any current recommendations. How do you get your recommendations? That's another whole topic that we could go into. One of the things that LinkedIn also now provides, they've done it now for about a year and a couple months, is something called a skills assessment. It is a quiz feature that allows you to take assessments on a variety of skills that shows proficiency. They're in technical, business, design stuff. If you can do it, early results have shown that if you pass a LinkedIn skill, you have a 30% better chance of getting hired. It is in the LinkedIn recruiting package. They can say, I want somebody who has passed the Python technical skill. And only those people who have that skill will show up. I have heard of recruiters asking candidates when they reach out to a candidate, I need you to take any one of the 3, take one of these 3 LinkedIn skills and get back to me when you're done. And then they go and look and they see if you pass the skill. So recruiters are even using this as a free way to do a test. The tests are usually 15 to 20 multiple choice questions. It is timed. It must be completed in 1 session. You've got to score within the 70th percentile or above. The badge will be displayed next to in the skills assessment section. So you see that little clipboard just off in the lower right-hand corner. It's only supposed to be only valid for 12 months and will expire after that, because they figure you need to be up to date on it. I have not heard of anybody's skills being deleted after 12 months yet, but it's only been out for maybe 18 months right now. So if you've got it and you've seen your skills be deleted, please let me know. I'd love to, just nobody's told me that it's happened to them yet. If you happen to fail the test, you're allowed to take the assessment 1 more time, but you have to wait 3 months. And then after that, it will no longer, if you fail it a second time, it will no longer be available for you to take. All right. All right, here are a couple LinkedIn settings that everybody needs to adjust. I'm sure when you looked at people's profiles, you've seen this on everybody's profile. People also view. Here are 10 people who are just like the person you're trying to view, or 10 people who are just like you. You don't want to publicize 10 other people who are just like you. So what you want to do is in your privacy settings, there's something called viewers of this profile also viewed. Turn that off. That way they will only see you. Okay? You don't want to promote anybody else. Recruiters like this feature because if they say I'm looking for a program manager, well, here are 10 other people who also are program managers. Let me check them out too. You've made their search easy for them. So just be sure to click on the no. Just click at the no. The other thing you want to change is share job changes, education changes, and work anniversaries from the profile. If you're modifying your profile, so if you're going to be modifying it for the next couple of weeks before we all get back together in February to look at your profile, be sure to turn that off, because if you don't, every time you update a job title, something in your about sections, and every time you hit save, it's going to ping everybody, all your first year connections. Oh, Joe has a new job. Oh, John just did this, or so-and-so did that. So you want to make sure you turn that off until the very end. Now, if you want to, if you add a new job or something, you may want to go ahead and let everybody know you're working at a new place. You could turn that back on, add the job, and that way people would find out about the change that you just made or you were trying to notify people with. All right, always send a personal note. I get LinkedIn requests all the time. Hopefully nobody here today has sent me a LinkedIn request yet, because if you did and you didn't send me a personal note, I will ignore you because I get lots of requests every day. Send me a personal note. Tell me you don't like my blue shirt. Tell me I talk too fast. Tell me I need to shave. Tell me something about today's presentation so that I know where and when we connect it, so that in a year or two from now, when you reach back out to me for something, I can go, oh yeah, well, I saw you today at the Beacon event, on January 18th. So send that personal note, let somebody know. Even on your cell phone or tablet, you can do it. Now, this is an old screenshot from an iPhone. I think they've replaced that more button with 3 little dots or 3 little lines, like a little hamburger or whatever. But if you click on that, you will always be able to click on personal invite. Always send that personal invitation. Very, very important. Always look for the blue button. If you're on LinkedIn, if you're on PC or Mac, it's a lot easier. I don't like the LinkedIn iPhone app. I'm sure it's fine. I just like, if I'm going to use LinkedIn, I want to have my stuff available. So I like having, being able to use it on my PC. And on your PC or Mac, you will see people popping up, first, second, third degree connections, people you may want to connect with. But if you see that white connect button, a white connect button will send the generic invitation. And then you're out of luck because you can't send another note at that point. So when that happens, click on the person's face. When you click on the person's face, it will take you to their profile. When you get to their profile, you should see the blue connect button. Now, for some reason, you see something, the blue connect button is not there, and you see something that says follow. That means they've turned their profile into creator mode, which I don't think anybody should use if you're in job search, because you want people to be able to connect with you easily. But if you're if you turned on your creator mode and it says follow, just click on the more button. And if you click down under more, one of the things will say connect, and then you can send that personal note. Okay, I need everybody to please raise your right hand and repeat after me. Okay, right hands up, please. I, Jeff Morris, promise to always send a personal note whenever I send a LinkedIn request to connect with anyone. This includes when I use my cell phone or my computer. I make people do that every Tuesday when we do our LinkedIn seminar, because I just think it's important. You want to tell people why you should connect. Make that personal connection. It'll make a big, big difference. Okay, every day you need to develop a daily routine. 15 to 30 minutes a day is all you really need on LinkedIn, unless you're doing a lot of research and trying to find people. And if once your profile and everything is all set up, go from left to right. Click on the home button, get rid of the red, click on my network, anybody who's trying to connect with you, go through and do those kinds of things. If you've got messages, answer those messages. We've talked about that. If you don't answer your messages, LinkedIn's going to go that you're more likely not to respond. And recruiters are trying to find people who will, okay? And then go through your notifications and clear that red, make sure if there's anything in there you need to see or do. I do this a couple of times a day because I have so much activity going on LinkedIn. I'm just trying to stay active. So 2 or 3 times, at least twice a day, I'm probably going through making sure that all the red's cleared off on my routine. You will also, once you've done that, you want to like, share, or comment on 3 to 5 posts a day. Find something out there and go, oh, great comment. Oh, I really like that. Or go ahead and comment on it or share it with your network. If you're in a group, if you're in one of the LinkedIn groups, you can only like and comment. If you're on the main feed, you can like, comment, or share. When you do comment, it has to be more than 8 words or it doesn't count. So you just can't say like it. You need to put something down why you like it. But by doing that, it's going to show that you're active. LinkedIn's going to see that you're being active on LinkedIn. Second thing is to go and put an article on LinkedIn. You can go, there's a site called feedly.com, Feedly, and you can go find articles, pull the link, put it in LinkedIn, and then tell people why you like this article, what this is really good about. Get some conversation going, because if you want to be known for being the best project manager out there, you need to explain to people what it is and share articles and make people want to read what you're doing. And the other thing is, I already mentioned this, you want to be sure to follow company pages, because if you see a job you're interested in, if you see a company that you're interested in, go and follow. I don't think follow company pages has a limited number, but I think, go for it. 100 companies, get them on there. Any company you're interested in working for, go through and do that. If you're not sure about what a Boolean modifier is, this is a great tool. I use this almost every day. I always use it when I'm at big conventions and stuff, or when I'm trying to find people. So a Boolean modifier allows you to do a search, and you can do this on LinkedIn, Bing, Chrome, Firefox, any search engine. Amazon, if you're buying something on Amazon, you can do a Boolean search. This is a universal thing that everybody uses. It's a capital and, a capital or, capital not, quote. So an and says you want 2 things. I'm looking for this name, and a recruiter and a company. And you want to make sure that both are required. Use the or, that I want one or the other. If you want to eliminate something, I'm looking for a project manager not at IBM, you can do that and IBM won't show up on there. If you put it in quotes, it has to be exactly like that. So you see the example up here in the little box, recruiter and technology. So they're looking for a technology recruiter, but not, and then in quotes, oil and gas. Okay, so this is a great tool. I use this a lot when, I'm on LinkedIn. If I was looking some of you up and I'm going Jim Wilson, well, Jim Wilson, it's a pretty common name, but there could be 30 Jim Wilsons on LinkedIn. How do I know which one it is? Well, you could tell me that either name of a company, you could tell me something that would help me clarify, and boom, it would help me find you. When I'm at conventions, and I'm doing this with people when I'm looking at their LinkedIn profiles at conventions, you get a name, there's a whole bunch of them. I say, well, tell me your company name, boom, and then boom, that's the only profile that pops up. So a Boolean search is very, very effective. If you're not sure how to use it, learn how to use it, practice with it. It's a lot of fun. It really helps. And in LinkedIn, if you're looking for jobs, you can do it on Indeed. You can do it on any of the job boards if you're trying to narrow what it is you're looking for. One of the last things I want to talk about here is something called the Social Selling Index, SSI score. You may want to copy this little linkedin.com/sales/SSI. What this does is this will tell you where you are compared to everybody else. If you rarely use LinkedIn, you're probably going to be in single digits. The highest I've ever seen somebody has been in the 90s if they're in sales. I think if you're in the 70s and 80s, I say if you're in the 70s, you're doing great, because using your SSI score, it tells you, you can see the breakdown of the 4 different categories here. Are you building relationships? Are you finding the right people? You're doing searches, or you're doing stuff. So you're never going to be in the 80s and 90s. I wouldn't even try to do that. If you can get in the upper 60s, 70s, wherever you're at, you want to just, get higher, because that'll just show that you're more active in it. So linkedin.com/sales/SSI. I'll go through, we'll take questions here in just a second. I think a few of them have popped up here. I just want to mention Career DFW, Career USA, 2 totally free websites. We don't collect any personal information. They're just there to help you. There's a career tip of the week on it every week. I put a new career tip up every week that you can go back and read. If you just lost your job, there's a great handout, what to do step by step to get going in your job search. Totally free. Career DFW, Career USA, we're putting online training 4 days a week, totally free. 1 o'clock Central Time, 2 o'clock Eastern. Every Tuesday, we talk about LinkedIn. I have 5 different speakers who talk about LinkedIn. Interviewing, we've got, right now, we're doing a special interview series this month with some outside speakers, and then we'll get back to our 13-part, we'll give a 13-part workshop in detail about how to do interviews. On Thursdays, the first and third Thursday of the month, we talk about effective resumes. The second and fourth Thursday, we talk about networking, how to get out and networking. And then every Friday morning, the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. We do have a YouTube channel, the Career USA YouTube channel. We've got over 420 videos on there. Like I said, I've done over 600, but some of our speakers don't allow the recording to be uploaded on there. If you want to join our mailing list, you can send an email to Career USA, the +subscribe at groups.io. And you'll get a daily email that will tell you the topic of the day, the title of the day, and the Zoom link of the day. You'll never be spammed, because I'm the only one who controls the list and nobody else can send anything out. On the Career, this is what the Career USA YouTube channel looks like. Click on playlist, otherwise you're going to see all these videos that are posted. But you can pick one of the 7 different playlists that are there, and then when you click on view full playlist, you can go back and find whatever topic it is you'd like to do. If your group's looking for a speaker, please feel free to reach out to me. Here's one of my email addresses. I have many. You saw a different one on my LinkedIn profile. I'm here. I'm willing to talk to anybody, anytime about career stuff. It's sort of a little passion I have, and we're just here to help. So I'm going to stop sharing, and if there's been questions in the chat window, I saw things going by, so please let me know what questions are, and I'll be glad to answer them.
Well, we had a good bit of discussion, people answering each other's questions in the chat, people adding their LinkedIn information and contact information. One thing I think it has been answered, but just in case everyone hasn't been keeping up with the chat. So there was a question about if you are employed and don't want to check available to work, so your current boss or current people in your company would see it, and Ken kind of answered that question, that you can actually select the option that only recruiters would see that, and it wouldn't be public to your whole network. So, and then another question.
But just be aware that only less than 50% of recruiters are going to see that, because unless they're paying for the recruiting package, they're not going to find you that way.
Right. So, and then kind of related in terms of the open to work, we had some people kind of questioning, well, if what they're looking for is more clients versus a role, open to work isn't quite right. And do you have any suggestions for those folks? How do they indicate that they're looking for new clients, not a job per se?
Well, I think that in your profile, it would point out that you do a lot of contract work. You're open to new contracts. I guess if you're really good with an editing program, you make your own banner, open to new contracts, and add that, edit your photo and add that on there. I've seen people go and modify a couple, people have added their own little banner and be able to do that. But in your about section, you tell people, you're not necessarily open to work, but you're open to new contracts to do XYZ, new contract work. I think the open to work banner is just telling people that you're interested. All that does is they're going to go down and read about what it is who you are. And if you tell people who you are and what you're looking for, you're going to describe that. Now, one of the things I didn't mention is that, I had on a current slide that you've got to have a current job to be an all-star. Well, what do you do if you're out looking for a job right now? Here's my recommendation. Create a position. The title is 2 or 3 job titles that you'd be interested in. With the name of the company, put your phone number and or email address. And then under the description, list 3 or 4 of your successes. And the last bullet point is, how can I help your company open to new opportunities? And then put your phone number again, or put your email address. And what you've done is you have a current job, which then will move you up in the listings. When you get hired, you just go delete that job off your profile. But that gets you a job, and it tells people what it is you're looking for, what you want to do. And it's another opportunity for more keywords. And remember, for searches, for LinkedIn searches, it's all about the keywords.
Great. So sort of related to the search, being able to find you, you mentioned that there were standard position titles that LinkedIn uses. So we had a question of where can you find that list?
Well, when you go to the, here, let me share, hold on. So when you're on your let me move this out of the way here. When, you go to your profile and you're saying that you're open to, whoops, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Open to work here, see all details. So when you go to, your open to work category, you click on the little pencil here, as you start adding job titles. So let's see here. Oh, I've reached the maximum, but if I were to get, let me get rid of operations manager. So I'm going to So you'll see how when you start to do it, up pops these titles. Pick one of those titles, because that's what's going to tell, that's what's going to be the default right there to be able to do that. Okay, and then you can go through and you can pick if you're looking for remote work or hybrid or on site. You put in your location and you can put in whatever it is you're looking for, and then you click the save, and that will. So here's a way to, I'm not going to say I don't want any extra notifications right now, but that will tell you how to do that. So that'll be in your, that's where you find those default titles.
Great. We have another question. Someone asking whether for the job seeker, is LinkedIn Premium necessary?
I don't use it. I don't have it. I think if you're doing too many searches and then you get locked out, then LinkedIn, it may be worth paying for it for a couple months if you're really doing a lot of research. I've never paid for it. Most people I know don't pay for it. Most of the recruiters most of the people who teach LinkedIn don't pay for it. I mean, one's an actual recruiter, so he's paying 10 grand a year to use the full-blown package. But the other ones who teach LinkedIn, they all say you really shouldn't need it. If you do pay for it, it's very difficult to stop it. So the trick that I've heard is go get yourself a credit card, like at the grocery store, that only has X amount of money on it, and that way they can't keep charging you forever and ever. I know it's very difficult to stop sometimes. I've heard people say it's very hard to stop. Yeah, I would say you probably don't need it unless LinkedIn is blocking you out and going, you've done all the searches you can do and it's the 5th of the month already. You got another 20 days to go. And if you're past military, I think they give you a year free, maybe. I mean, check to see what they'll offer free, or they'll usually give you 1 free month if you buy a month or something. So check the deals before you just sign up.
Great. And then there's a question which I think has been technically answered, which is about how to add promotional materials and articles to the site, which Ken replied that you can add in your featured section. You can put, feature some posts and blog posts that you've written and things like that. But maybe if you want to comment, or if you have any comments in general about how to put thought leadership, articles, promotional materials, if you're a consultant, like any tips on those types of materials and putting them onto your profile.
Well, to me, the biggie is if you're going to write something, you want to write a post, okay? You don't want to write an article. Articles do not help your profile very much. From what I've read, from what I've been informed about, if you're going to do something, you want to write a post. I've also heard in the research that you do not want to put a picture in your post. A solid text document is the highest rated document on LinkedIn, and you don't want to post a video and then talk about a video. So if just a text, several paragraphs talking about something, talking about what it is you want. And then the other thing, the other question that the other half of that is, when you're going to post, you may want to go and email 20 people who are on LinkedIn and say, hey, I'm about to create a post. Would you please go and read it, like it, comment on it, and share it? Because if you get a certain number of likes, shares, and reposts in the first 24 hours, your post then will go to more people. When you first post something, supposedly it only goes to about 20 to 25% of your contacts. But if more people are liking it and sharing it, it will then go to the next 25 or 50%. So if you can prep that you're about to post something, I get an email from one gentleman who posts all the time, and he'll talk about, hey, I'm about to post this tomorrow. Please like it and share it. I'd appreciate it. And, so I do that the next day when I see it pop up. So that will help promote it. But I think putting it here in the post is the way to go. The other thing is go to your group tab. I mean, go to groups and find the group that you're interested in. And, you can, when you post there, people are going to see, get into the details as far as what it is you do, managed care professionals, project managers, your alumni association, whatever it is, you can go and find all these resources that are out there that would be a great way to post something. And especially if you're in a bunch of project managers, you're then sharing your knowledge about how you can become a better project manager.
Posts with links.
Well, I mean, as you know, when LinkedIn doesn't want you to go someplace else. Okay, that's their, they want to keep you on LinkedIn as long as possible, just like Facebook wants to keep you on long as possible, and Instagram, all those sites. So what LinkedIn's done is they get rid of those long links, and they'll put in their own link, I guess, so they can keep track of how much you're doing it. I've heard that putting links into a post knocks down the value according to LinkedIn, because they don't want it to go anyplace else. But I think you have to nowadays. I mean, if there's more detail or you're referring to something, I mean, I guess you can put something in, you can put in the link, you can spell it out, www space period space, you can fool LinkedIn so it doesn't see the link. But I know that adding a link to a post will hurt the rating of the post. But I still do it every day. Every time I post, I always have a link in it. Yeah, I have to. I mean, that's the goal.
And how about tagging people in the posts?
Tagging is great. I think it's great because, number one, it'll get that person to read the post. I tag when I post on the weekends or when I post on Mondays with the upcoming events that you see over my shoulder for the week. I tag the speakers because it reminds the speaker, oh yeah, I'm doing a presentation this week. And other people will then see, oh, well, Terry Sullivan's been, he was tagged this week, or today Gail Bridgman is speaking today at 1:00 for our interview session. So she was tagged, and maybe her connections will see it and they'll want to come see it. So yeah, if you can tag people, tag them. Good idea.
Beacon is the premier executive networking organization serving the Mid-Atlantic region. To learn more, go to beaconforlife.org.